Today, guys, we're gonna fight against the Eye of the Deep. I'm gonna share with you a couple of different strategies on how you can tackle this boss. I do want to mention that this boss is much harder than the ones we had in the previous season. So if you're not reaching the ceiling, don't get disappointed. It is indeed much harder to reach 200 million, 150 million, or even 100 million. It's definitely much harder. This video is brought to you by Dragonheir Silent Gods, so I just want to say a big thank you to them for sponsoring today's video. And if you guys are new around here, new on the channel, and you haven't tried Dragonheir Silent Gods just yet, you can download the game by using my link in the description down below, or in the pinned comment, or by scanning the QR code you see on the screen. And like this, you get to help and support the channel as well. So diving straight into today's main topic, guys. What exactly does this boss do? Initially, when I made a video on him from the test server, he was a bit bugged, right? So right here, we're quickly going to go over the skills and passives. The very first passive will basically gain a damage reduction buff on the boss every time you hit him, every time he takes damage from skills. Then he will basically remove one of those stacks whenever he's using a skill and he deals damage with that. Then he has this passive, which is kind of like the main thing that you need to worry about. He puts a rust poison on all of your team that cannot be cleansed, and you want to spread your characters around the map. If you're grouping them all together, this will make a big boom, and that's gonna be a problem. You don't want to use more than 2 melee characters on your team because they're gonna be grouped next to each other, and again, that will cause you problems. Now, you can initially use one support to keep your entire team around. It is much harder and is not going to work for every single team. Then with the very first skill, he deals damage. The second one, he puts defense penalty on all of your team. The next skill will put buff prohibition and dispel buffs. And with this one, we'll put healing reduction, shield prohibition, and of course, deal damage. And with the last one, he will deal damage. And if you have no buffs, he will reduce your ultimate energy. Now, there are a couple of different ways on how you can play against this. The main thing that you need to keep in mind, the boss will enter fragility for 5 seconds when he's using the ultimate. So you want to spam your ultimate skills at this period in the fight, just to ensure that you are getting extra damage. Talking about resistance, there is no way of you building your entire team with full resistance, because you're going to basically sacrifice a lot of stats from your team, and it's still a lot of RNG. So I wouldn't go on that path. I'm going to show you what teams I used so far. I still have one more team to use because I wanted to kind of like talk about the boss while we are doing the fight and kind of like show you a couple of different things. Currently, I am rank 27 on my server. I have 1.6 billion damage. I haven't reached 200 millions only with one team. One of them got pretty close. This is what I used so far. So my Radiance team got close to 200 million at 189. My Wild team dealt 115 million, which is pretty good. My Ice Blast dealt 110. I tried keeping my team alive only with Furbart in there, but he was just not enough for what I'm running right here, considering that all of the debuffs will come in play. So instead, I decided to go with the second support. I brought in Reyta. She will buff, she will cleanse, give me increased defense, increase the duration of debuffs on the boss. I'm not saying that it's impossible to keep your team alive only with one Furbart. I'm pretty convinced it is. But you require a lot of hours to sort all these teams. And unfortunately, I don't have that time at my disposal. And I'm happy with whatever rank I'm going to get this season regardless. Then, Shadow. So for Shadow, I had Gulende to cleanse. I tried keeping them alive only with one support, regardless if it was Thorin or a different one. Again, I pretty much encountered the same issue. They will die at some point, and I do not have the time to retry till that perfect run happens. So I decided to just cash it in as it is, and I'm not planning to change anything. Then I have the Corrosion team with Rook. Yesterday dealt 210, almost 211 million damage. Today, 207.3. More than enough, right? Over 200 million damage. So judging on my ranking as well, my server is extremely competitive now. There are a lot of whales and krakens on it. Considering that I have that rank, I can definitely tell you this boss is much harder than the previous ones. Now, how you may notice, I do not have my lightning team used for the moment, and that is my weakest team. Yesterday, I think I got somewhere near 90 million damage. Now, right here, there are a couple of different things. I have no legendaries from the Dauntless except Sura, which is a melee character as well. I cannot fit her in this team regardless of what I'm doing. That would mean to drop Shagrol or to drop Shaltar, and it's just not worth it. Especially that I don't have her scrolled, right, as a legendary hero. You can try to keep your team alive with Nathaniel. I have clanmates that do that. For me, it just doesn't seem to work. I have pretty good stats on them. They have a lot of defense. They have good HP, but they're just not staying alive. I need probably 200-300 more defense on each one of them, and the gear that I have at the moment just doesn't allow me to get all of those extra stats while I'm keeping a decent amount of damage. Plus, judging by what I've seen, surviving 5 minutes with this team is not going to over damage the team that I had yesterday, which had only 3 damage dealers, which is pretty damn crazy thinking about it. So, the way this team is set up, I'm actually going to go to my original team rather than running this one. I just wanted to show you. This is kind of like a diamond positioning in here. You can have them all nice sorted out, just mainly to gain the clans from him as well and have everything that he brings with this battle skill. That's why the positioning is in the following way. Then you have the ultimate, which is going to work regardless. Now, he buffs. You can buff at 30.5 seconds. So I'm quickly going to show you my other teams, and then we're going to do the run, actually. So starting with the poison team. This one doesn't really have any spectacular timing, but I do have Fenja that will buff resistance up. So in order to don't get my timing messed up, I need to prioritize her at 30.5 seconds. That's exactly before the boss is going to use his ultimate. So that means that I'm going to gain a buff. The boss will not reduce my ultimate energy, which will keep my team in tune. Now, how you may notice, they are going all on a 30-second cycle. Very, very important as well, just to ensure that we are basically able to deal the damage when he's entering the fragility state, you know. Now, if we're going to check my next team, so the Necro one, I'm using Shadow. Now, one thing to keep in mind, Shadow does not use regular ultimate energy. So because of it, the boss will not be able to reduce their ultimate energy. And that is, again, a very, very important thing. Now, the reason why I have the following timings on my characters are mainly to keep my Gulende and to keep my Thorin on point with their healing. Thorin will bring buffs with his ultimate skill. And like this, the boss, again, will not reduce the ultimate energy on Gulende and on Thorin. Now, I do need to cleanse with that Gulende. If not, what's going to happen is that I'm going to have the heal reduction on for too long, and Thorin won't be able to provide the healing that I need at the right moment. Now, you can use this team, for example, and run it with Tia, the epic character that puts block debuffs with a different timing, and you're going to be able to sustain your team only with that one healer. That's something that I haven't tried, but again, I have clanmates of mine that are doing it. Then you have the following strategy. So if you don't want to buff at that specific moment in time, my lightning team, for example, so this is what I'm running, and the skill timing is different, you see. I'm not gaining buffs at 30.5 seconds or at 30 or at 29 or 28 or whatever, because I'm using the ultimate skills right before the boss is about to use his ultimate skills. So once my ultimate energy is at 0, he doesn't have anything to reduce. So my team will still be in sync. This is the second strategy. One, you can bring buffs at 30.5 or a bit earlier. You got to make sure you don't have the block buffs on. By that time, the block buffs that the boss applies will expire. Or you can go with a team like this that will use the ultimate energy right before the boss is using the ultimate. So like this, you're not losing anything on skills or stuff like that, you know. So what I could do right here is to even put it like this, 30.5, and I can always put this at 29.5 just to activate the passives on the rest. And yes, I do have Estella as a healer. It doesn't work for me to keep them alive only with Nathaniel, guys. My wild team, I do have basically buffs from Gillian in here, so I do have her timed at 30.5 seconds to put the defense up, sorry. So she's gonna heal and cleanse, not the immunity. And then I have the defense down going right before from Rose, and then the wild characters are just going to deal the damage, you know. My Ice Blast team, again, is with Reyta. She's going to cleanse, put defense up right before the boss is using the ultimate, and the rest of them are doing damage, while Bart is not really running anything. But I'm going to show you the stats on them in a second. This is my Radiance team, and here again, this is the hardest team to set up, and that's mainly because of Lorantil. He buffs when he gets full ultimate energy. So in order to make sure that he's going to buff and allow this team to go on a double cycle, you cannot have any skill haste on him whatsoever. If no, the boss will steal your ultimate energy. So you don't want that. You want Lorantil to put the increased attack and the rally right before the boss is using the ultimate. And then the rest of them can just nuke the boss down. Very, very important, right? Because that's how Lorantil works with a passive. So like this, they're going to go basically twice in a cycle, because they gain ultimate energy from Lorantil's skill, you know. So that was the final one. Let's run the light team, then I'm going to show you what builds I have on them. So this is my light team. These are the artifacts that I'm using. Estella has the Everlasting Diamond. We have the Great Riva Lamp on Shagral right there. On Shaltar, I have the Vile Ink. I could use on Shaltar, actually. Let me just quickly change it. We can use the Revotrix roots on him. That's actually going to increase the damage a bit more. I actually just had it changed a bit here because I was trying a couple of different things. So use that on him. Witches Remains, I have them. I have that on Nimbus. He has multi hits as well with the ultimate skill. And yeah, I have the Elminster artifact right here. So this is a very intensive boss, guys. There is no point for me to try and make free-to-play guides on this, because honestly, I'm gonna get 20 million damage. And the main idea that you guys need to kind of like learn from this video are what sort of strategies you can use in here, you know. So it's all about playing with the timings, paying attention to when the buffs, debuffs expire, to make sure you're not trying to buff when you have buff prohibition, etc. And the main thing that's the most important part is to have some sort of a protection versus the ultimate energy that the boss is using. So right here, even though the boss will use his ultimate and reduce ultimate energy on my Estella and on Nathaniel, is not a problem, you know, because they will gain their ultimate energy back by the time they need to use the skill again, you know. So that's perfectly fine. That's the way it's set up. So he will put the shield right before the boss will put the defense down. Like this, we're going to have slightly better survivability. Estella will be able to basically heal all the time, because I set her in such a way to heal right after that heal reduction debuffs expires from the team. And like this, we're able to stay alive. So if I was running a team with 4 damage dealers, by now I was probably at around 13 million damage. So I'm not saying that I would not get an increase in damage, but the problem is I need to keep them all alive only with Nathaniel, and I really found that part extremely difficult, considering that I don't have the right substats on the gear. I don't have defense and HP on every single piece. I don't have enough runes to run defense runes on everybody that have good substats, etc. So I gave up on that idea, because I just don't want to spend hours to retry one team just to squeeze in 10-15 million extra damage, you know. I'm not going for rank 1, so it doesn't matter to me, you know. But we are doing decent damage with this team, and my god, Estella, she is just such an amazing healer, guys. Absolutely amazing. I love the buff that she got now, like a month ago, or whenever they buffed her. I feel like it's been a month probably by now. Definitely very, very good. So where are we? 21 million damage, 22. It does look like we might get close to 80 this time around. If everything goes good, of course. If everything goes good, we should get there. Now, when we are talking about gear sets, a lot of people are saying, no, I'm going to use the aerial set. It's so much better than the Emperor. That's not true, guys. Listen to me right here. The best set is whatever gives you the better stats. Now, I've tried my Radiance team yesterday with both Aerial and both Emperor, and the Aerial set was underperforming by exactly 15 million damage, and that was on the Radiance team. Now, it might be because I don't have the best pieces from the Aerial set. I have better Emperor gear this time around. And yes, I do have higher attack on them. And that will be for pretty much every single team. So while you're going to decide in between the sets, if you have better Aerial, much better than Emperor, run Aerial. If you have much better Emperor than Aerial, run Emperor. As simple as that, okay? You're not going to gain a massive damage for running Aerial over Emperor or vice versa, unless there's a massive difference in the on the stats, you know, for each one of the sets, you know. The boss doesn't gain increased attack. Not every team will have decreased attack, so right here we don't have decreased attack. My Radiance team did not have decreased attack, but still, we were able to deal a lot of extra damage with the Emperor. And how I mentioned, I do think that is a matter of what set is better on your account, you know, and use that one basically to try and squeeze the most damage out of your team. So we broke 800 million for today. That's good. If I'm gonna stay top 50, that's what matters, you know. That's pretty good. I kind of like want to make sure I'm getting the cosmetic at the end, you know, and that is top 300, so I'm not stressing about 2 Heliolite and 200 War Marrow. I would like to get the legendary scrolls that they are given away at the end of the season, you know, the 20 scrolls for the summons. But honestly, throughout the season, my Vortex team was not necessarily the best early on, and later on was just such a massive difference. And honestly, so many filthy degenerate Krakens on this server, guys, you know? So it's pretty competitive. 46 million damage. I think I've dealt like... I'm quickly going to try to find a screenshot to see what sort of damage I dealt yesterday with this team. But I'm pretty convinced that I've dealt around 80 or 90 million damage, but maybe I'm remembering it wrong, you know? Maybe I remember that part wrong, but I'm pretty convinced I'm not. I am pretty convinced I'm not. So where are we? No, I dealt 75 million damage. Okay, so I had 75 million damage yesterday with this team. Was my weakest team, you know? I have no legendaries, no Evelius, none of the big boy Dauntless legendaries that do crazy damage, no Terrible, you know, so it's a bit different for what I'm running here. But you know what? I'll take 75 with this and call it a day, or whatever I'm getting from this run. It's gonna be enough. It's gonna have to do. It seems that most of the people don't stress too much about it. It is pretty hard to just go and build a lot of teams, guys. In such a short amount of time, you know, to be prepared for the boss, and it takes a lot of time. I initially wanted to release this video yesterday, okay, but it took me like 4 hours to sort out all the teams. By the time I finished, was past 11 p.m. my time. I was like, there's no way in hell I get a chance to record that at this time with the baby sleeping, you know. So I said, you know what, I'm just gonna do it tomorrow because was a bit too late, you know. But here we are, 64. I have 44 seconds left. Probably another couple of ultimate skills, if I'm not mistaken. I just hope that nobody dies. Estella should be able to give me the healing exactly when I need it, so that should be fine. It really depends how much damage is the boss going to do to us right now. Okay, we're fine. We're fine. We live to see another day, guys. We live to see another day. Okay, apply that defense down. Don't let us down with it. Okay, I'm not gonna get these ultimates in. No. Okay, what do we have? 69. So I'm short a couple of million damage from yesterday. Probably defense down not getting applied or stuff like this. But you know what? We are going to save this. And this is what we have right here. A Sharlash, 44.8% of the damage. A beast. He is an amazing hero. I wish I would have had a different character to apply defense down instead of Nimbus, so I can push his damage higher, but unfortunately, I have to keep it up and running like this. So there we go. We have 1.6 billion damage for today, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I think it updated. But I'm quickly going to show you the builds that I have on the teams, guys, just to kind of like get a better understanding of what is happening. So where are we? Poison 1, equipment plan. This is what I had in terms of artifacts. This is what I had in terms of stats. Of course, I prioritized as much damage as possible on every single character. Some of them have crit rate gloves, some of them have crit damage, but the main thing is having the right artifacts on the right characters, the right sets. I have a puppeteer, I have an ancestral protection set on them too, so that's one right there. Then you've seen the Dauntless team already. For the Shadow team, again, these are the artifacts that we have on. You see Emperor sets on pretty much every single one of them. I do have much better pieces in general from the Emperor set, though. It is what it is. You know, the aerial is not as good for me, but I do think that it really matters what stats you have on them in order to kind of like maximize your damage. Then the Wild team, this is what we had in terms of artifacts. I have 0 epic artifacts on the characters, guys, you know. So Gatekeeper staff, very important. Witch's Remains, of course. Revatrix Roots, the Downpipe Organ, and the other one is always kind of like flexible, the slot, you know. It really depends what elemental affinity we're playing. But the gear is pretty much the same. Just moved over from a character to another, to another, to another, and to another one. Then we have the Ice Blast team. We have the Queen's Fan on a Zorak right here, or Zarok, however you're pronouncing his name. And I have the Solar King Horn on a Frorbart. Very, very effective, you know, to boost the damage. Then we have the Radiance team. Again, pretty much the same sort of artifacts, but this time around I have the Flute of the King for the Radiance element. Gatekeeper Staff, I have the Ghost Captain's Hook, which is a pretty good artifact as well. It really depends what team you're running. I know for a fact that my team will not be on full HP whenever they're going to use their second ultimate, because the shield will expire by then. So I'm going to get that 15% extra damage. Plus I'm getting the crit rate, I'm getting the extra attack from there, and I think that's it. The rest of them, they were just trials and errors, basically. You know, I've tried teams like this with Vanny, with one healer only. I've tried the team only with Frorbart to keep them alive. Again, it did not work very well, you know. Probably I can just go on, retry till it works, but I really don't have the time to do that, just to gain a couple of extra million damage. Hopefully you found this video helpful, guys. Do not let yourself down if you're not reaching the craziest damage this time around, because it's pretty different. Thanks again to Dragonheir for sponsoring today's video, and if you guys want to get involved, you can download the game by using the link in the description down below, or in the pinned comments, or by scanning the QR code you see on the screen. And appreciate all of you watching. I'll catch you all in the next one. Peace.